Hi, and welcome to another episode of Baker Rangers Movie Talk. This is a place where we talk about movies we love, and we have a good time. And today, I am talking with my guest. Today, he is the Red Cornish Ranger. He's right there.
Hello.
It's you. Um,
Yes.
so thank you, Mark, for being on our show. I know I didn't let people know what we are talking about. We are talking about the Doctor Who 30th or 50th anniversary special. So 2013. Hold on for a second. You know how I always have these technical difficulties. So I have a technical difficulty right here because I forgot this scroll. So those who are watching on um, YouTube, um, you saw this little flub and you see things moving and all that kind of stuff. But it happens. It happens to me all the time. Like that's my mo, I guess. I
Well, I've
gotta
got the
have.
sonic screwdriver if you need. Oh,
Well, I think I might need. I forgot to get. I have one that's like a pin, but it
oh
also
yeah.
like does lights and sounds too. Not lights, but it does sounds. I don't know where it is. I used to have the 11th Doctor sonic screwdriver. That was pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
I really wanted to get that one, but I was unable to.
Which one do you have?
I have I've got the 12th, and I've got the 10th and the 13th Doctor.
So you got everybody but the 11th, basically.
I could do with the 11th.
Yeah. So we're talking about the 2013 50th anniversary special, and we're kind of
Yep.
going to talk about like basically everything that associated with that too, because you had the special was called the Day of the Doctor,
So,
but the last episode of the seventh series was the Name of the Doctor, which kind of set up in a sense at the end. Um,
yeah,
this new
introduced John.
yeah, introduced him as the War Doctor. Then you also had the Time of the Doctor, which kind of is not really. It is more associated to the name of the Doctor than it is the Day of the Doctor because
Yeah.
of Trenzalore and all that stuff. But what I don't know if a whole lot of people know about, but there was like a little mini sode called the Night of the Doctor, which we finally got the regeneration of Paul McGann's
We did,
Doctor.
yeah.
I do. Well, we'll get into that part later, but I do wish they would have handled that a little bit differently. I like that episode, but I wish. But we'll go into that later.
Right.
Uh, but so this is the second time you've been on my show, and the
Yes.
second time we talked about Doctor Who. It seems like that's what we do. Eventually,
Oh,
the
might as
next
well.
one maybe not. I guess it's tradition. If you're talking to British people, you have to talk about British stuff. So,
Yeah. Doctor Who's the
uh,
most British thing of them all.
hmm but this is not related to this movie. But it looks like I saw a report that I don't know if this was just clickbait or not. That Disney Plus is wanting to get the rights to distribute that new episodes of Doctor Who in America.
Yeah, apparently the BBC are in talks with them.
Yeah, so that would be awesome. I don't have cable to watch BBC America, and BBC America always changes the. Well, I guess BBC determines what day it's on, um, but with BBC America, we always saw it like 5 to 6 hours after it already came out in England. So it kind of stunk whenever you're trying not to get spoilers on the 50th anniversary when it came out,
I
and
bet.
millions of people had already seen it, and so you had to get off of social media for a little while to experience it and watch it.
Yeah. A
But
lot of the pages I'm on Facebook with Doctor Who, they do always do like a spoiler block for about a day, just to make sure no one gets spoiled.
yeah, that's nice for like the American markets because again we get it. You get it on the night, which is the afternoon. For
You
for
guys, yeah.
us. So and we don't get it till the night because that's how America does their new shows. They come out at night because most people are probably at work during the day. So
Yes, not really daytime telly.
yeah. But the 50th anniversary special, Doctor Who is it's kind of a mess. So it's a 50th anniversary, but it had really technically gone on for 50 combined years. There's a lot. Doctor Who is the king of hiatuses.
Yeah, there was about, what was that, 18 years, I think it was?
Yeah. Well,
Something
even
like that.
then, between Colin Baker's first season and his second season, there was like a year hiatus. And then there
Yes, there
was
was.
another year hiatus before Sylvester McCoy. And the last two or three Doctors, like, they'll have 3 seasons and 4 or 5 years. So,
Yeah, yeah. Like you say, it is the king of hiatus. They do. I mean, it's not so much a hiatus in the past couple of years, but they've dragged them out
mhm.
for a length of time for reasons. I mean, mostly the COVID was the main
Yeah,
reason for a
I
lot of
think
it, but
COVID is, but yeah. But with the BBC, since it's, it's the way the BBC is funded, they can only do so much at such a time. So not sure if the deal with BB or with Disney Plus will help fund more of it,
it
to
might
be
do.
able to do more. So there isn't all these year breaks every 3 years. But who knows? I don't know what all the details are going into there for Disney Plus. So, but okay, so now we're gonna get back on track on this episode. So, the 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 doctor that was in the 50th anniversary was Matt Smith, who
Yeah,
is the 11th Doctor, technically 13th Doctor if you think about it.
but
Um,
yeah, let's not go down
but
that rabbit hole.
yes, well, you have to go down the rabbit hole when you talk about the time of the Doctor because they do explain it there.
Yeah,
Um, but um, it's the first Doctor Who episode with multi doctors that isn't called however many doctors is in the episode.
yes, very true.
You got 3 doctors, 5 doctors, 2 doctors, and then
Uh,
time of the Doctor.
technically yes, but there was obviously the 30th anniversary that was called Dimensions in Time, but that wasn't a full length episode. The actors didn't even get paid to be in it. It was a charity episode.
Well, and it was 4 years after Doctor Who was canceled. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was just it was for
children in need.
children need. Yeah, it was just kind of a fun thing. They do a lot because they did one with David Tennant and Pete Davidson, his father-in-law,
Yes,
on one episode too,
they
or on
did.
one little
Yes,
skit.
like Crash,
Yeah.
and they reunited as well in Big Finish as well for a set of 3 called Out of Time.
Oh, nice. So in this episode, in the 50th anniversary special, the time of the doc. Oh god, there's so many of the doctors in this thing. The day of the
Day of the
Doctor.
Doctor.
Yeah. Um, it doesn't really necessarily pick up where you last seen them in the Night of the Doctor because you really don't know how they got out of the Doctor's time stream. I don't think they ever
No.
explained it. So for those that haven't watched, and the name of the Doctor at the end of the episode, they get into the Doctor's time stream because the Great Intelligence is trying to destroy all of his lives. And so Clara goes in to try to rescue him, and that's how she gets all split up. And so that's why you see like different versions of her before the actual version of her you see in the Bells of St. John. And but then he has to come after her because he doesn't want her to die because that really is going to kill somebody if they're split into a million ways. And then you find out that the Doctor has a secret identity between Paul McGann and Christopher Eccleston
Yeah.
as John Hurt, the late great John Hurt, which this might be one of his last roles before he passed away.
Yeah, I feel like he might have done something else
Maybe.
afterwards. I mean, he definitely did some big finish work as well. So
Oh, we
there's like a
didn't. Oh,
little,
that's cool.
yeah, there's like a three. There's, I mean, it's three, six, nine episodes he did. The last lot did get released after he passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was brilliant. Have him in it.
yeah. So, we see the Doctor and Clara just kind of doing their own thing. He's in his TARDIS reading, Clara's teaching.
Yeah, teaching at the actual school that appears in the first episode, Cold
Yep.
Hill High School.
Yeah. And I love how that shot whenever it went to the Doctor Who credits, and then it was the black and white, square screen, 4:3 ratio, and then you see the silhouette of the police officer, which was exactly what you saw in the very first episode of Doctor Who.
It was, yeah, it mimicked it,
Yeah.
down to the policeman, down into going into Cold Hill High, and yeah, exactly as it was in the first episode. Policeman looks a little different.
Well, of course, because it's 50 years later. So 60 years later, 50. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course it's 50 years. It's the 50th anniversary. I don't know why I'm trying to think of how long it is. Yeah. So I'm sure the uniforms of police officers changed between the 60s and the
Yeah.
2013. So but there's stuff going on that we see before that in the 1800s. Was it 17 or 1800s with the I forgot her name. This she's not a Silurian, is she? Is she a Silurian?
Oh, what do you mean with oh, Hodgson? I can never pronounce them. Do you mean the three of them that was in the name of the Doctor?
Yes. Well, yeah, because it starts. Doesn't the episode? Does it start with that?
It doesn't. No, no. The episode literally starts with them, with
Oh
Clara
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
school.
yeah. Yeah.
She then gets a phone call, I think, or something. Goes to the TARDIS. Then the TARDIS gets picked up by Unit. Kate Lethbridge Stewart, who was in charge of Unit, didn't realise the Doctor was in the TARDIS. Apparently, though, Matt Smith wanted to do that stunt because
Oh, he did.
he's hanging off the actual TARDIS at the bottom, and apparently he wanted to do that stunt. I'm not sure if he did. I didn't manage to find out, but
I think he did, because I think I remember seeing like set photos, but you don't know if that was a stunt double or not.
yeah.
But I'm sure they weren't that far off the ground anyway. Not like a Tom Cruise stunt where he actually like is hanging off the side of a plane that's like flying, you know.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, even the bits that Matt Smith did do that we know for definite, I think he was strapped in by his wrists probably, and but yeah, he was a bit
Yeah.
crazy with that. He wanted to do it so much.
Yeah. He made the point, like, you could have just knocked. Like, that's just the courtesy. If you don't know somebody's in
Yeah.
there, just like, hey, I see a police box. I'm going to do the Doctor a favor, who probably already knows where the police box is, and pick it up and take it to,
Yeah.
I don't understand the thought process behind that. But
Yeah, he actually goes to Kate Stewart and goes, I'm sure as your father would have told you, I don't like being picked up.
was there like a backstory to that? Because I don't know if I remember
What?
a backstory between Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart.
Well, yeah, basically, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart was the original commander of Unit, and Kate gets introduced in Power of Three, I believe. Well, actually, she was introduced in a off the um, off the books sort of like episode that was part of the Doctor Who universe, but doesn't reference it off the copyright, sort of like.
Huh.
But she was reintroduced in The Power of Three, where we discovered this woman called Kate Stewart was actually Kate Lethbridge Stewart, the daughter of Unit's original commanding officer.
Yeah. So there is something going on with this painting that
Hmm.
was, I guess, given to them from Queen Elizabeth a long time ago.
Well, yeah, there's a bit of a. We find out at the end of roughly where the painting came from. But yeah, the Gallifrey, either called Gallifrey Falls or No More.
Yep. Which you find out later. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So, because there was a big cameo at the end that nobody was expecting.
No one was expecting. Oh, well, to be honest, the last sort of like what 20 minutes or so from when they completed the sort of like little story of the three
Yeah.
doctors, and they did the whole bit at the end. That whole section was surprising. I was on my feet.
Mm.
Luckily, I was on my own at home when I was watching it, but I was on my feet in absolute shock what they were doing.
Yeah,
It
and you
still
can,
today gives me goosebumps.
yeah, and you can kind of put together a lot of conspiracy theories about the end also, which we might go over if we have time later. Um, so, um, but at the same time, which is technically not at the same time, we actually see the War Doctor John Hurt in the um,
End of the time
battle.
war.
Yeah, into the Time War. Uh, he destroys some Daleks. He steals the Moment, which is this box that can basically destroy anything and everything in its path.
Hmm.
Um, and he was going to use that to end the Time War. So he was going to destroy both Daleks and Gallifreyans. And this is where we kind of find out because there was always elusive of what happened to the Doctor. Why does he not want to talk about the Time War? The Time War wasn't a thing that was involved with the original Doctor Who. It just like whenever they brought it back, oh, there's Time War. There's something going on. There's a mystery with the Doctor. And then we find out, sort of find out, which we'll get back
What
to
happened?
others. Yeah, what happened, and that the Doctor just wiped everything out, and that's probably what caused his regeneration to Christopher Eccleston. But we'll get to later what actually does happen.
Yeah. So obviously, this weapon, this the moment, has a conscience basically, and it appears to the Doctor as well what it thinks is a companion that he would know, but it doesn't understand the difference between the past and the future. So it picks a companion that he hasn't yet met. That's how we get Billy Piper in it.
Well, technically, it's it is Rose Tyler, but it is not Rose Tyler because it
It's
takes the
Bad
form
Wolf.
of Bad Wolf with the little white eyes, shiny eyes. Why it uses that form, I'm not quite sure. Um, but it might be because of the connection between Rose and the Doctor, and so that way you can disconnect and say, "Hey, why isn't she wanting to interact with the Doctor? Because she's in that state where she's not Rose Tyler."
Yeah.
So, and the moment is kind of like, I guess you could say, you know, the Christmas spirits off of like a Christmas Carol. So like she
Yeah.
wants to show him his future, um, and experience a few
Gonna
things.
happen.
Yeah, to see if he wants to change his mind. Um, and so through inadvertently, the Doctor finding a Fez, we get them three together in
Yeah. Well, then it
England.
skips to like the 10th Doctor
Yeah,
in ancient England with which we actually heard a reference of in David Tennant's last episode about Good Queen Bess. And this is basically what actually happened, why how he actually managed to marry Queen. And it also kind of like explains why in one episode with Martha, Shakespearean, I think it was, why Queen Elizabeth wanted to chop the Doctor's head off. Because obviously he abandoned her on the altar. Not that
yeah.
he knew that at the time.
Well, he didn't really abandon her at the altar. He married her and left town.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to get a gallon of milk or buy some cigarettes or something. But yeah, so they're having a little picnic, before they get to Matt Smith and John Hertzdochter involved in there. And then he's got a little Zygon, or not necessarily a Zygon finder, but it's more of a
Device that goes ding.
yes, it's a device that goes ding that checks for shift changers or whatever they're called. But also it can bring you some comic books from the future and a few other. He's like, I don't know when to stop. It has so many features that have nothing to do with. So he thinks the
Yeah,
queen
the
is the
sonic still
Zygon.
doesn't work on wood.
Yeah, yeah, because it's too primitive. But he thinks she's the Zygon because it went ding. But come to
Yeah.
find out, well, after he proposed, he only proposed to her because if she said yes, she had to be in the Zygon. And that's not the case. That's not what happened. She wanted to marry him, I guess. Because the horse was the Zygon. I didn't even know Zygons can turn to animals.
Yeah. Well, we hadn't actually seen the Zygon since, it must have been 1970 something, maybe in 1980.
Yeah,
It was the Tom Baker episode. That was the last time we saw them. So it was about a good 30 odd years since we'd actually seen them.
yeah. But then, like in those episodes, they had to like kidnap them and put them in like some sort of stasis to be able to take their body. This they kind of changed that a little bit. They might be Zygons from maybe a different Zygon dimension or whatever. So they can take your likeliness without, but they still have to keep you alive. Like you still have to stay alive. Like if you die, so the Zygon can never, not really technically, kill somebody that they're taking over.
No, more of a mimic.
So, but you don't know that until later in the episode. So, but through the wormholes that the moment designs to put them together, all three of them end up together right there in the forest of England. Then they get captured by the Queen's Guard, and you don't know if the Queen is Zygon or not by then. She says she killed the real one, but I guess I'm doing spoiler alert right here because if the Zygon killed the real Queen, then it would have not been a Zygon. The Zygon would just look like a Zygon. Which they got suckers on their hands and their big, huge, red, nasty little things with
and
pus
tongue in their mouth.
Yeah, poison. Yeah, poison tongue. Yeah.
He's really checked.
Yeah.
I think I did a video of that one.
Oh, you did?
I think I did a video of that one where, she's not the Queen of England. She's
She kissed her anyway.
You gotta love the little interaction though that all the doctors do. I mean that even though they're supposed to be the same person, they all argue with each other.
So the doctor's always right, and he always likes the version he is then more than he likes the other versions of himself. So, because they're all different and same in the same way. But yeah, it's always fun seeing the interactions of the doctors with each other. I think the five doctors was the only one really where there really wasn't a whole lot of bickering between the doctors.
Well, you had the same bickering that was between the second and third, but
yeah.
It seemed to be the first doctor always brought them together, brought them in line. It was like, I'm in charge, you do as I say.
Yeah. In a sense, John Hurt was kind of like that, but he was also, torn, and he was the war doctor, so he wasn't actually the doctor. That's why they never really counted him, because they try to forget that they were ever him, because he did, in their mind,
they thought was the heinous thing.
Yeah. So they get kidnapped. They get captured and taken to the what is it? Something tower. The Tower of London. And that's when I think you get to the some of the more serious parts of the episode because you know 11, 10, and 11 they really don't trust the War Doctor, and
No,
they just and he knows. He's like, you look at me like I'm a monster. Like what? He doesn't know what. Well, he sort of does
no.
because he was about to do something. Um, he didn't think he had a future. He thought that was going to be it. But here's two of his future selves, um, who act like children, and he makes a few comments about
Yeah,
that.
he's like,
Um,
"What? Why are you acting like children? What's so bad about being grown up?"
yeah,
Obviously, they're reacting off of what he is about to do,
yeah, because
and
if you've gone through a lot of trauma or if you've done some bad things in your life, you're not going to be the same as you
no,
were before. There's going to be some mental trauma that's going to cause you to either do something like the 11th Doctor to repress everything, or the 10th Doctor to just remember everything and just
and
cause
blame
a lot of
himself for
yeah.
a lot.
So you get to see a lot of that different dynamic of those doctors and how they all handled um, that decision and that choice.
Yeah,
But at the same time, we find out that there are Zygons in the now time, and
stored in paintings.
yes, they were able to hide themselves in paintings since I don't know if there was a set 16, 17. I don't know how long ago.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine, but yeah,
Yeah,
since
I'm not a
that
history
time,
buff, so I
no, me
apologize for
neither.
those who are like, well, you need to know who the Queen Elizabeth, um, what year she reigned. Like, I don't know, but
I don't even know. I don't even know when our current one reigned from. I just know she's still going.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, 50s. I want to say 50s or 60s. Been a while.
Like that.
Um,
Even
fun
later
fact:
than that. And
I share birthdays with her, the Queen Mum. Not the same year, but the same day.
I hope not the same year.
No, that would, I know I look old and I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Well,
Uh,
you're looking good for 100 plus.
yeah. Well, thank you. I moisturize. But
No.
Clara finds out that Kate Lethbridge Stewart is being controlled by, is a Zygon, not her. And they were about to go back in time to bring all their friends with them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, no, they entered the Black Archives, which is
yeah,
obviously full of, well, it's full of Easter eggs, if anything, with the whole Doctor Who series. And there's like a lot of different bits in there, like River's shoes, photographs of all the companions. Uh, I think there's a Cyberman head and a Dalek head and everything in there. But obviously, what they came there for was the vortex manipulator of Jack's vortex manipulator, which he bequeathed to the Black Archive on one of his deaths. Which one we don't know.
yeah, he's died so many times. He's had a few different incarnations of himself.
Yeah.
They never really explained how
Yeah.
he became the face of Bo, but that's another question.
But no, because obviously the way they managed to get Clara managed to get there was to get that activation code that the 11th Doctor was scratching into the wall,
Mhm.
which is actually the date and time of Unearthly Child when it was released. So it's like I've written down here somewhere. It's the code she punches in is 17 16 23 11 63.
Oh,
16 minutes past 5 on obviously the 23rd of November.
number. Huh. Yeah, when it started with 17 and then 11, yeah, I just thought it was just
Yeah,
random numbers, but I didn't realize that the 23, 11.
yeah.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, when Clara's leaving the school on her motorbike, the clock also says the time that the first episode started.
Oh, so it's 11,
The
23.
17 16.
Okay, 17, 16. Okay.
But yeah, the episode is chock full of Easter eggs. There is a lot of Easter eggs throughout the whole entire episode. Too many to count.
Yeah, and I'm really kind of wondering what they're all going to do for the 60th anniversary, which is next year.
Yeah.
Everything's really kind of up in the air. You don't really know where we're going to go, but we got one more episode of one more special with the new I just
Jodie,
forgot.
yeah.
Jodie Whittaker. So Clara uses the vortex manipulator to get to England, or to get to where the doctors are, because they're literally in the same spot, because the Black Archives is in the Tower of London. So really amazing coincidence. Because the Doctor knew that the Black Archives were there, so I guess it wasn't that much of a coincidence. But
he knew it was there.
Yeah, he just didn't have access to get there because it was TARDIS proof. But they do find out whenever. Well, it's kind of funny how they were trying to get out by using the sonic screwdriver, which they can't use on wood, so they couldn't really use it. But because there's 400 years between the three of them, they were able, with John Hurt's doctor, to start a calculation and then finish the calculation with Matt Smith's sonic screwdriver to open the door.
Only to find out the door was unlocked.
Yeah. And then Claire's like...
Three of the most intelligent men in the universe, and they didn't try to open the door.
Like, did you try the door? We assumed it was locked.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't, because the Queen left it unlocked because it was actually the Queen. Well, you don't know that yet. You think it's Zygon. She was trying to figure out what they would do if they escaped. So she came right behind Clara and took them through what the Zygon's plan was to project themselves in these paintings, so that in 3, 4, however many years, they could, whenever the world is in a more technologically advanced place, they can come and overcome and take the world.
Also, and that's when the 10th Doctor puts his foot in it for the third time.
Yeah.
Remember, he spoke about the whole rabbit scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did it because whenever he thought she was Zygon, he would say stuff like, she got a bad breath. I can tell how close your eyes are together, all this kind of stuff. And then every single time, it's the actual Queen and not a Zygon.
Or it's just a rabbit.
Yeah, you're just a rabbit, aren't you? But you think it's the Zygon posing as the Queen this whole time, until she gets humiliated by the 10th Doctor and said, "I am the Queen of England." Yeah. This is not my plan, because he was trying to put her down, saying, "Why would you give us your plan? That doesn't make any sense." Well, because it's not my plan.
It's not my plan.
Yeah.
The other one's dead.
Yeah, I killed because the Zygons, whenever they take the form of the person, they take all that person's attributes. So it's not like that they look like that person. They have their memories, they have their elements, they have everything.
Yeah.
So it was to fight a Zygon that's posing as you there's equal strength right there. So
exactly, yeah.
So it's not like she had to overtake this whole huge beast, because she had to just try to fight off the Queen.
She just had to fight herself off, almost.
Basically, yeah. So the doctors get into the TARDIS to go back to, and Clara, to go back to 2013, because not because, but at that time, Kate and the Zygons are, Kate is trying to threaten to blow up all of London.
Just to stop the Zygons.
Yeah, just to stop the Zygons. So she set a 5-minute self-destruct bomb. And then the Doctor was trying to stop her, which they couldn't get through, because, again, they were in a spot that was TARDIS-proof.
Because you did have the whole missing out on the whole glitching of the desktop. That was quite a funny scene, I think.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't really... No, that was in the Wait, Collection of the Dust. Oh yeah, yeah,
That's when they
yeah.
get into the TARDIS and you
Okay,
have the whole.
that's true.
It's the round things. I
Yeah,
love the round.
yeah, because when they first get into it, it is the 10th Doctor's TARDIS, but whenever
Yeah,
the 11th, they all touch it, it glitches, and yeah, and it has the white round background. It's like
which
I
is
love the
essentially
round
the
things.
War Doctors,
Yeah, because
and
his was
then
basically just the original one, and then starting to update it. Like it was a mix between the original TARDIS and maybe the movie TARDIS, or maybe the
yeah,
Ninth Doctor's TARDIS. Like it was kind of a mixture. Yeah,
I'd say more of a mixture between the sort of like original and the Ninth Doctors. Obviously, having all the round things because the Eighth Doctors had quite an extravagant interior to the
yeah,
TARDIS.
yeah. It was much bigger front room than all the other Doctors.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it glitches, has the white things, and like, oh, look at the round things. Look at the round things. I love the round things. What do they do? I don't know.
I love that
Yeah,
conversation.
and then it just turns into Matt Smith's TARDIS. So and you get the oh, you redecorated. I have. I don't like it
Yeah, the good old traditional
because
line.
again, they don't like the other person's. You know, theirs always better. It's always. Well, the Doctor is kind of a narcissist, I guess you could say, a little bit of one. Um, at to a point. But yeah, so they can't get into the uh
Like
the
archives.
yes, the black archives. That's the word I was trying to look for. Because again it's TARDIS proof. So but they have the little orb thing that projected the Zygons into paintings, so that's when you get
They
the whole
projected
cup
the
of
stuff.
soup scene
Yeah,
where the War Doctor comes up with the plan.
and then you kind of have like a little scene that kind of backtracks to the beginning when one of the scientists had a phone call and it was like, well, hang on, it's the Doctor. And he's ringing from the future to get him to put the painting in the black archive so they can then do this dramatic escape where they burst the Dalek through and just walk out and go, sorry about the Dalek.
Yeah, and Clara's like, you don't have to be so dramatic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because they go fight the Dalek with their uh, sonic screwdrivers, bust, to bust out of the painting. Um, but then the Doctor has this unique idea because again, they're about to blow up all of London, and Kate is not backing down. She was going to let it happen. So the Doctor had this idea to
Make them forget so that no one knows who's a Zygon.
yeah,
Make them cancel the detonation and then come up with a peace treaty,
yep,
which it basically worked. And I think that was also meant to be a way of showing the War Doctor, that this is the people he's going to become. That they're willing to do what it takes to stop any kind of fighting. And I think it makes him realize that even though what he's about to do is, really, really bad, it's necessary. And he realizes that.
oh, sorry, I
That's
got
right.
buzzed off right there. Yeah, he realized that maybe it's a bad decision that he was going to make, but he was the only one that can make that decision because he
Yeah.
doesn't want it. But he doesn't want to put the blood on the other one's hands. But he kind of feels like it's too late. Like he has learned from it, but he feels like there's no way out
He,
of it.
yeah, he feels like he has to be the one to do it so
Yeah,
that they don't have to.
yeah,
But then they turn up as well, and
yeah. Then
they're
they
like,
decide. Yeah, that. Well, we'll all push the button together so the blood is on all of our hands, even though it is the same
yeah,
person. But then Clara's like to 11 is like this is not you.
yeah. Even though she knows he did it, it's like, I never saw you doing it.
Yeah,
You actually doing it, and it's all too real now. But then that's when he comes up with these plan to save Gallifrey, which I personally actually think, and this goes down to theory. I think the whole thing of the Doctor saving Gallifrey was always going to happen. I think it was always meant to happen, because when you go down, or with what is the time of the Doctor, where he's on Trenzalore, all the events that took him to that had to have happened to bring him there. The likes of, like, even River being born and being turned into an assassin. If he didn't come to Trenzalore, which is for when the Time Lords are trying to get back into the main universe, then there wouldn't have been the TARDIS blowing up several seasons back. The River wouldn't have been turned into an assassin to stop the Doctor, because I'm not explaining it very well, but yeah, I think it's all connected, that these events had to happen. It wasn't really him changing his timeline; it was what was going to happen, because it has to happen for him to get to Trenzalore.
Yeah, and the thing too with the War Doctors, and them, they know they did something bad, but they really they don't remember it happening.
No,
so
they forget they do.
Yeah, because they know they did something bad, but they can never explain it to people because they just didn't know. They just know they did something really bad, but come to find out, they really didn't. Because a lot of times when the Doctors meet each other, it's like whenever it's over, it's like it never happened. So because it was an event for all the Doctors, those 3 Doctors meeting each other, when they left and went their separate ways, they don't know how that ended. So
yeah, well, I think the theory goes that the older the lower regeneration, so the likes of 10, the War Doctor, and all the others, they forget because of the way the timeline works. But the current incarnation, so the 11th Doctor at that time, he remembers it all, but he only remembers it from his point of view.
And from that
he
point
doesn't
in
remember
time.
it from the others.
Yeah, that's true.
So he doesn't remember it seen out of the first Doctor's eyes, and so on and so forth.
Though he sort of did, whenever he got the fez.
Yeah.
He's like, I remember this. This is how I meet them. And then he throws the fez in, but I don't. Yeah, he doesn't know like what the events happened. He just knows, hey, we did something together. Let's make it happen again.
Yeah, I feel like his memory stops just before the War Doctor turns up.
Yeah.
So it's like he remembers seeing the fez, he remembers seeing his future self, and then
That's
nothing.
It. Yeah.
The next thing he remembers is marrying Queen Elizabeth. He doesn't remember the fact that there was 2 other Doctors of himself there.
Yeah.
And then he obviously went off to the whole thing in the last of the Time Lords.
Yeah.
Well, we assume.
So they come up with this plan on doing that, where they, put something in a painting, but in mass scale. They were going to basically make Gallifrey disappear into a painting, so that the Daleks would just
more of an alternate dimension rather than painting. But yeah.
So, but they can't. They can do it because there's 3 of them, so they have more power because now they got 3 TARDISes. But they call on all the Doctors. So you got the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, all of them, even the 13th Doctor. Which at that point you just kind of see his eyes and his nose when he goes, "No, all 13." But which the episode after Time of the Doctor, that's when you get that regeneration. So
that whole Gallifrey save scene, that was an epic scene, I think.
Oh,
I mean, I have got them because they're all, most of it is all archive footage and that, except for one bit. One bit isn't archive footage because it was the voice of the 1st Doctor.
Yeah, because when he's calling on Gallifrey.
Yeah,
Was that
because obviously William Hartnell, well, Gallifrey, Time Lords was
that
never
wasn't
an
a
issue,
thing?
never a thing. Then,
It wasn't until War
but
Games and the last of the Second Doctor.
yeah, so they had a guy called John Gillor, I think Guilor.
Well, he did a good
John
job. He
Gillor.
sounded just like him.
Yeah, it was. You couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. No. Well, nowadays they have apps now that you can actually put people's voices in to sound like them. It's kind
Yeah,
of scary for some things, but it's kind of cool for stuff like that, to where you can actually, use deep fakes and those voice deep fakes to actually make somebody look like um, somebody. So for Doctor Who, that's necessary if you're going to try to put in a fifth, sixth, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh Doctor
yeah,
into it, or even, with I'm still hoping that John Pertwee's son would want to
yeah.
take up the
I
mantle, but
don't
I don't
think
think
they
it's
were
going to
going
happen.
to.
But because then, yeah. But I digress on that. So it was a nice ending to. I do wish, and I know there's a reason why we didn't get Christopher Eccleston, and actually, him declining the 50th anniversary is what caused the War Doctor to be created.
Yeah. If it weren't for him actually saying no, I don't want to come
Yeah,
back, we wouldn't have got such a brilliant role as John Hurt.
yeah,
So there's that to look at.
yeah, because they already
Apparently,
had
though,
that story.
yeah. Apparently, though, Christopher Eccleston is doing something for the 60th with Big Finish.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
Well, it's Big Finish. I wish he would do it for the show, but I think he had some issues with producers and writers and all that.
yeah.
And you have the same showrunner as you did whenever he was on the show. So
So
yeah, so
more likely not.
I don't see it happening. And he's not the type to come back and be a recurring role into something.
Yeah,
So um outside of Big Finish Audios, I'm sure that's different. He can just go into a studio and do whatever, and he wants to be part of it. Different producers, different writers,
yeah.
you know,
But it's probably a day job for him. It is,
yeah,
he's in and out in a day with all of them.
yeah.
He's done 2 seasons so far of the Ninth Doctor.
So that's basically the episode of the 13th, the 50th anniversary, the Day of the Doctor. But we do get, again, an ending scene, which we talked about earlier, with a cameo
Yeah,
of
Tom Baker.
yeah,
That was the instant you hear his voice. Like I said earlier on, that whole section is just surprising, and you first had, obviously, like I say, with the first Doctor's voice, and I was like, no way they've done this. Then you had 13, with the Peter Capaldi's eyebrows and that turning up,
yeah,
and then they're at the end then, and it's Tom Baker, and it's like he is at the moment one of the most iconic Doctor Who's as well, because he was in it for a long time, and he's come back as, at the time, it was only implied that he was a future incarnation of the Doctor, heavily implied. Now it has been confirmed that the curator is a retired version of the Doctor, but at the
yeah.
time we didn't know that.
No, but it kind of, because Tom Baker's character in that as a curator was, you don't know if he was like a serious or if he was just like um you didn't really know who he was, because you see the Tom Baker, you're like, oh, that's Tom Baker, he was the fifth Doctor. And then they do kind of talk about maybe going back to something
Older
old,
faces.
older faces, and all that. Who knows? Who knows? um but it kind of, to me, like, the bummer of it, like, is nice to have Tom Baker, which he was, might be, well, before they brought it back, he was the most popular Doctor. He had 7 seasons. He has the most
Yes.
episodes of any other Doctor on there for the longest, and so that's nice to see. But then all the other living Doctors, Peter Davidson, Colin
Mhm.
Baker, Sylvester McCoy, they got like relegated to a uh, little the Five-ish Doctor's little short,
Yeah,
which is fun, but it kind of stinks that they didn't get like any kind of
they didn't get
cameo.
involved.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not sure what actually went on there because the Five-ish Doctors is actually written by and produced by Peter Davison himself. I think it was a planned sort of thing because I remember when whole 60th anniversary thing was spoken about, there was news articles about Peter Davison standing outside television centre protesting. There's no there's no classic doctors. What's going on? Why is there no classic doctors? And then we get the Five-ish Doctors, and there he is actually doing that in the actual episode. It was kind of just it was just like a celebration of it and a bit of mockery as well. Um, I mean, obviously they were involved in a
yeah,
roundabout way. Well, their archive footage was.
yeah. I think it
They,
was their way of saying, "Well, we don't think we're gonna be in this episode, but we need to do something. So let's just,
yeah,
let's just go and have fun and try to get into the 50th anniversary because that's the whole premise of the Five-ish
yeah.
Doctors is we need to be on this episode. How are we supposed to get into it? And it's funny whenever they have those interactions with Paul McGann, and Paul
Yeah.
McGann is not in the 50th anniversary, but he is. He does have his little
He does
mini-sode.
get a part as well.
Um, so, uh, but he's
And
all coy
they do
about
the same.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, and they sort of do the same joke as well with Tom Baker, with him back in the 20th anniversary because he was stuck in a time
yeah.
vortex thing, and it's bring him up. Oh, I appear to be stuck again. Apparently, though, that wasn't Tom Baker. That was an impressionist by called John
Hmm.
something. I can't remember his name, but he's an impressionist that does. Funny enough, he's actually working for Big Finish now and does
Yeah.
the voice of Lethbridge Stewart
Oh, nice. But I'm
and
wondering
a
if
few
that's
others.
their way of like not knowing if Tom Baker was in it or gonna do or not. Maybe Tom Baker just couldn't find the time to do that. Um,
Yeah, probably.
but it would be kind of stinky if they didn't know Tom Baker was in it at all, and then he was in at the end, and then they're like, what are we, chop liver? But
Yeah, they probably all knew what was going on. I mean, let's face it, Pete Davidson probably knew a few things that was going on. I mean, it's his bloody son-in-law.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, but you have like NDAs and all that kind of stuff for some of that stuff where you can't talk about it even, with family or whatnot.
Yeah, but
And
they
and
probably
it
do.
was it was a secretish episode, or maybe that's why Peter Davidson was like got with Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy and said, you know what, we're not involved. Let's make us involved. So we'll
Yeah,
just do this to do something fun. And it is on the DVD and Blu-ray of the 30th anniversary too. So the BBC was able to put it
yeah,
into their stuff. But hopefully with the 60th anniversary, because I don't what Tom Baker's like 90, 80 something,
he is. Yeah,
90. Sylvester McCoy is getting a little frail now, so it'd be nice to have them involved somehow.
yeah. I mean, there has been rumours of another Five-ish Doctors. I suppose it all depends on if Peter Davison will write it and whether or not the BBC will give it its go-ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, and so going back to like Paul McGann, he did have like a little mini episode. Um,
Yeah,
and it kind of tricked you because it was a mini episode called "The Night of the Doctor." So like, okay, it's linked to the Day of the Doctor, and not Day of the Doctor. And then you see uh, where this woman is in a ship. She's going to crash because she hasn't can't get control of the ship, and the ship's like, "Do you need a doctor? Stop talking about doctors." And then he's like,
I'm a
"I'm a
doctor,
doctor." Yeah. But
but
not the
not the
one
one
you're
you're
expecting.
expecting.
Yeah.
None of us were expecting him.
No,
That's for sure.
I didn't expect that at all. And then You get like a little fun episode where he tries to save her. She finds out he's a Time Lord. She hates Time Lords because they're part of this whole time war that's killing a bunch of people. A lot of collateral damage outside of Daleks and Gallifreyans, and so they crash. And then they're on Karn, and you have the what are they called? The
the Sisterhood of Karn.
Sisterhood of Karn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they revive him for like 4 minutes to convince him to, I guess, alter his life path. Go from doctor to help somebody to, you can do more, with this war if you change who you are.
Warrior.
Yeah.
See, there's the interesting thing there, which actually connects with the curator, is that there's a comic book, I think, or it's either a comic book or a novel that basically this is when we find out that the curator is actually a future incarnation, and he's now friends. Well, the other doctors weren't really friends with that woman on Khan. I can't remember her name, but he is more friends with her now, and apparently that wasn't actually a elixir of life; it was just lemonade. She kind of tricked him to
just think that that's like it was like a placebo in it.
Yeah.
Effect, yeah.
So he would become what he needed to be.
Yeah, like he was gonna die, but she wanted to make him think that he needed to be somebody else. So when he had that mindset during his regeneration, so he regenerated into somebody with that mindset.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That makes sense. But I wish like what I wanted like before that came out. Like I envisioned them like doing like a mini, like maybe a 5-part mini series show of like 10-minute episodes of the Eighth Doctor.
that would have been cool.
That would have been awesome. And then you got to where he regenerated, but you didn't see who he regenerated to. But we just got this. So in order to kind of get the context of everything, the continuity of everything, it's kind of still jacked up between 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And so, but it's not too late because Paul McGann is still in good enough shape and health and to be able to do something. And I'm sure
he could definitely come back. He could.
Yeah. So it would be nice to have like just a little mini series, a half a season, 3 episodes or whatnot of just a Paul McGann Doctor right before he, during like how the Time War started and what he was doing at the beginning of the Time War. That would have been awesome.
We've kind of had how the Time War begins with Big Finish, but
it'd be like the on screen.
Yeah. You don't still know how the 8th Doctor got disconnected from it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, you do. There is a little 8th Doctor series set within the Time War, but he still seems to be getting involved to a degree. There's no what like you see in the Night of the Doctor, where it's like well, no, I help where I can.
It's more where he doesn't want to be part of it.
Yeah, where in the episodes that they've been doing, he's kind of like falls into doing the Time Lord's bidding. Almost, it's like reluctantly, but he's still doing what they want him to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but it'd still be nice to like see something on screen for an definitely. 8th Doctor to kind of just continuity, and not just 8th Doctor. I would have also liked to see something like that to see Sylvester McCoy get his last season that he was going to have.
Oh yeah.
When they canceled it, because when Survival, which was the last episode of the classic Doctor Who, it didn't end. Like the episode ended, but like the Doctor and Ace kept going on. Like there was no end. There's no reason to have any closure or anything. It did kind of end to where like they went off to the sunset, into the sunset, and just they're gonna have other adventures.
You never know. We might find out some more things in this Centurion.
Oh yeah, we will, because we will have Ace. So that might explain more. So that's going to be awesome.
When I saw that, because Ace is one of my favorite companions, I was like, whoa.
It's going to have Ace and Tegan, is what I saw. So Tegan
I didn't recognize her at first.
Fifth Doctor, fourth. Well, technically fifth Doctor.
End of the fourth.
His last story. Yeah, his last story. That's when she entered, and then transitioned to the fifth. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting because maybe we will, because when you got the TV movie, it looks like the Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, just retired to he captured the Master, who was a goo thing for some reason. To send to
that's a whole
that's a whole but what happened between Survival and then where's Ace, what's going on? So yeah, maybe in this final one they will, with Ace in it, she might explain what happened between Survival and the TV movie. Which when is this one coming out? Is fall, right? October. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that will be Jodie Whittaker's last one, and then we don't know if we're getting with the old new showrunner Davies, we might go back to doing Christmas specials.
Hopefully, yeah.
So I prefer Christmas specials over New Year's specials. I'm not quite sure why they changed it, but
I don't know why either. I mean, I think this obviously the next coming episode is to tie in with the BBC's 100th year.
Oh,
yeah, so that's why they're doing it in October, because that's when it's all going to start, and it's been 100 years since the BBC started.
Oh, that'd be nice. Huh. I did not know that. So
yeah, it's all part of their one big special 100. For it.
Which would make sense why they would bring back old companions and stuff, because even though it's not like a special Doctor Who, it was a special Doctor Who because it's the last of Jodie Whittaker, but you know it will be special for the history of BBC having more. But that's nice. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have right now for this episode. I'm sure we can talk on and on and on Doctor Who. Doctor Who is a lot like Star Wars, but there's a lot more to talk about Doctor Who technically, because again, it's been going on for almost 60 years. So 59 in October it'd be or November it'd be 59 years. So that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you again, Mark, for being on our show. And would you before I go into never mind. Go ahead and let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, things that you're working on, and yeah.
Well, you can find me on all the socials, on Insta, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch under the Red Cornish Ranger. You can also now find me on Spotify, and I am starting to do my own little podcast where I'm going to be reading comics either on my own or with a full cast. Actually got Baker Ranger is going to be part of this as well. Not in the first episode, you're in the second episode, I'm afraid. But hopefully I've dropped a little teaser for now, but hopefully I'll be dropping the first episode of 8 on the 1st of August. I'm hoping all goes to plan. So don't quote me on it at the moment. If you don't see it on there the 1st of August, then obviously something's gone tits up.
Yeah, then you need to message him, say, "Hey, Mark, what's going on? Where's the episode? Where is it?" So,
but the podcast is called The Red Cornish Ranger Presents Nerds Through Comics. However, I kind of misspelled through.
Yeah, through is kind of spelled like throw.
It's a little in joke with myself, and Cosplay Dude sort of like actually suggested the name as it is, but then because of my dyslexia, I thought, hang on, I'm going to pronounce it as throw because that's how I see it. So
yeah,
well, through, I suppose, really is more the way I'm trying to pronounce it.
Yeah, through. You could have like 2 O's and I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah. So and basically with that, you're taking a Doctor Who and Star Trek comic and putting like visualizing it more with vocals than just
it into an audio drama kind of style.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I will be remiss. Jim will get mad at me if I don't mention Zeo to Hero. I keep on, not that I forget about them, it's just I got a one track mind. So if you notice, whenever you listen to
words to get out, I found.
So yeah, I ramble a lot, and sometimes like where my mind is focused on, it changes where I focus, but like it's hard to get. It's easy for me to get off track, but. We are part, Mark and myself are part of the Zeo to Hero network. So you can find Zeo to Hero at zeotohero.com. They got a podcast which they talked to Mark. They had an episode with Mark a few weeks ago. Check that one out. And just talk about fandoms that people enjoy. They started out with Power Rangers, but you have Iron Avenger 52, who's really into Gundam. You do like Star Trek and Doctor Who. Cosplay Dude does a lot of cosplay of other things. In anime, he's got a lot of anime.
Clayton as well. And...
Yes, with the neon lights. So the Zeo to Hero network is, it's a nerd network, but it's fun. We have a good time. We have a Discord too. Discord.zeotohero.com. If you want to get on and chat with us. And it can be fun sometimes. GIFs or GIFs, however you want to say it. There'll be a plenty. We have a lot of fun making fun of ourselves. So
definitely.
But anywho, check that out. zeotohero.com. Check the Discord out. We're on Facebook, Insta, TikTok, Twitter, all the socials. So, but thank you again, Mark, for being on the show. And I will end my show as I always end my show. It's a Power Ranger thing. As Zordon would say, may the power protect you.